Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Mi Gente on Air. It is Tuesday. It's 7 p.m. and we're here in the studios at WSGW Alpha Media Studios. And I've got a great show tonight. I've got Jamie Forbes, who's one of Saginaw's greatest cheerleaders, and she's going to be talking about what's going on at Stars for the Millage, as well as the Great Mural Project, and just positive things about the city of Saginaw. So please come into the room if you got a question or a concern. Drop it in the chat room so that we can address it, try to address it. And if you got a question for Jamie or myself, we welcome you. We welcome you to the show because Mi Gente on Air is my people, right? And that doesn't mean just Latinos. It means my people here in the city of Saginaw. So let's do it, man. Let's make Mi Gente on Air happen tonight. All right. We'll be right back on Mi Gente on Air.
Welcome to Mi Gente on Air on 100.5 and 790 News Radio WSGW and online WSGW.com. Now, here is your host, Larry Rodarte.
Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Mi Gente on Air. You're hearing the tunes of the great late Selena Quintanilla. And we're here at the Alpha Media Studios at WSGW. And we got another edition of Mi Gente on Air for you tonight. We want you to come on into the room here, on the chat room, on the live stream here, as well as join us. Thank you for joining us here on Sunday evenings at 8 p.m. on WSGW 100.5 FM and 790 AM. And today I have a very knowledgeable person who I consider a good friend, and she is a great Saginaw cheerleader. She's always promoting positivity, and she's so involved in many things in the community. And her name is Jamie Forbes, and she's with the Saginaw Transit Authority, as well as the Great Mural Project. You see all the murals that's happening around in Saginaw. Well, Jamie's with us, so say hello to Jamie Forbes.
Thank you so much for having me tonight. I really appreciate it. And thank you for your kind words.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jamie, for being with us. And, you know, so much is going on. It seems like Saginaw has been revived in a way ever since the Memorial Cup and the Mural Project that happened with the silos, and now we got some other things coming our way. So before we start and get into that, I want my guests, those that are Hispanic tonight that may not know you. I always say the non-Hispanics because typically that audience that I have may not know who my guest is. But tonight, I'm sure my non-Hispanics know who Jamie Forbes is, but I want the Hispanic community in the room to also know who you are. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today.
Oh, thank you. So I actually grew up sort of out in the thumb in Reese. I went to Central Michigan University, and then I went to school out of state in Nashville for music business, the most impractical thing that you could ever go to school for. But I ended up back in this area, started trying to figure out what my next step was going to be. And my plan was always to leave the community, right? And then I started to get involved in some local political campaigns, and then I found myself growing so attached and eventually in love with Saginaw, and I'm so thankful to be involved in this community. I feel like there's a real opportunity to make change happen. One person can really make change happen in Saginaw, and so it has been a real joy to make relationships here and to be able to tackle some projects and to be welcomed with open arms. I think this is really a place where if you're doing good work, you will be met with encouragement and affirmation. And I am absolutely so blessed to be in that situation.
Absolutely.
It's a really special place.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And are you familiar with Big Sean's song, One Man Could Change the World? Well, one woman
Yes.
can change the world, right, Jamie?
Oh, I hope so.
So let's talk about the stars. And first of all, let us know your position there, and then tell us kind of what happened like during the Memorial Cup.
So I'm director of external affairs. That means I do all kinds of little bits of interesting work, including our social media, our graphic design, our communications, our new projects, our outreach. And it is really fun because it's different every day. Memorial Cup turned out to be such a wonderful experience, so much collaboration. And it really was a chance for us to show, I think, as a community, what is possible, what we can offer visitors. And I hope that there'll be lots of learnings that we can take with us to build upon this experience and bring more big events like this to the area. We were lucky to be able to not only extend our hours significantly during Memorial Cup, but also to offer free fares for all of our fixed routes. So those are our regular bus routes. We have 10 of those. We also were able to add 2 extended routes. So that was the Riverfront Loop, which took us basically downtown to Old Town every 15 minutes. And then also the hotel loop, which brought folks out to the Tibwasi corridor. Lots of visitors, very busy, lots of ridership. And it really showed, I think, what public transit can look like in Saginaw. We were able to take a lot of learnings from it and be able to really draw some goals in the future, right? We were able to not only track the numbers and to sort of make some guesses about what those numbers indicated, but we also did a pretty significant survey after the Memorial Cup to learn from our regular riders what parts of that extended service they cared most for. And so not only was it a great 10-day period, but it's also been a real learning experience for us to be able to move forward with more clarity.
Well, I did see the director of Stars, Matt, and he was doing a program. I saw a lot of that on Facebook where he was trying to push some of the businesses that the busing service was catering to. Was that your idea as the marketing person there at Stars?
So my executive director, Glenn Steffens, is a real ambitious, quick-moving guy. And he saw that we were not having the ridership on the Riverfront Loop that we were looking for.
Oh.
And so we decided to do what we could, which was some like pretty low-key Facebook videos to try to draw some attention to our local businesses that could be accessed during with those routes. And so we were able to stop by a bunch of our favorites and just talk to those owners about what what special offerings they were having for Memorial Cup, extended hours, that sort of thing, hoping that we could get some visitors to give it a try. We also passed out coupons at the plaza and trifold maps that showed all the many small businesses and activities that were going on along that loop to try to show those visitors what we had to offer. And I think it did make a difference. I think that that we had higher ridership on the Riverfront Loop for the second half. And it just really was a chance for us to showcase our lovely small businesses, not just for visitors, but also for locals here too, that the Memorial Cup was a chance for people to give a new business a try and, experience something new in their own backyard.
Well, I definitely saw more buses around town during that time. I mean, you couldn't go down any of the major corridors without running into one of the buses, so that was really neat. And I'm somebody who knows and is familiar with a lot of travel in terms of like even in Europe. And, it reminded me of some of the cities in Europe that I go to where the bus is, the main transportation for a lot of the people. The thing about Saginaw is that we're more spread out, than say a European city that may be more a little congested. And but the people primarily rely on the busing transportation that's within that city. But I just thought it was so wonderful to see that Saginaw had their foot forward and that they were really, they were moving people around. It was happening. And I can't say enough about the Memorial Cup. It was a wonderful event, and I was so happy to be a part of it, as well as see that the Saginaw busing system and our transportation in the city was doing a great job. So what's important here and why I've invited Jamie on the show tonight is because we have a millage that's coming up in regards to the busing, as well as some other things going on with the Delta College and all. But we're here because Jamie is an employee of the Saginaw Transit, and I want her to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we have a millage renewal on the ballot for the city of Saginaw on August the 6th. This is it's just a maintenance of our millage that we've had in the past. It's not an increase. And we will also, just as we do for every election, we are offering free rides on election day. So that is Tuesday, August the 6th. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And we just really believe that it's our duty as a public agency to make sure that transportation is not a barrier for anyone to access uh, the ability to make their voice heard. And so all of our fixed routes are free for that day. We hope that people will use it to get to the polls. We also offer free rides to polling locations for our Lyft riders. So those are folks that are 60 or over or disabled. So they can set up those appointments in advance, and it'll take them directly from their house or their wherever they happen to be to their polling location and home again. So we really just want to make sure that everyone gets out and makes their voice heard, not just about our millage, but about all of the things that are going to be on the ballot. There's a chance to take a look at your ballot in advance on the Secretary of State website for the state of Michigan, and prepare so that you know exactly what's going to be on your ballot. We hope that people will take advantage of that and then get out and vote on election day. And we do this for every election. We just really think that this is an important part of making sure that people can make their voice heard.
Yes, yes. And, it's so important to have public transportation in the city of Saginaw. I think I know a number of people that actually utilize it. There's a bus stop right in front of my house, so I see it used daily. But it's just important. It's important that we thrive as a city, and I think that's part of it. That's part of so many times we hear about the millages that are coming up or whatever, and some people are against them, some are for them, and they're always going to be a part of a society because we need the community to support what we have going on in every city. So thank you for that plug, Jamie. Is there anything else you can think of in regards to the millage?
I just want to talk a little bit about the kinds of things that people access on STAR. So we do a ton of transportation for jobs. So we take folks out to Pigeon, Michigan for employment 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week. We take folks out to Hemlock Semiconductor, and we make sure that folks can access the ability, to make a living and to support their community and their tax dollars and their buying power and all those other ways. We also have a partnership with Delta College where students can ride free from our downtown plaza out to main campus 4 times a day, Monday through Thursday during the regular school year. And we have some other partnerships that are in the works. We've just had a really good chance to be able to make sure that all of the cool things that are happening in this community are accessible to everyone. This is about making sure that people can access mental and physical health care, jobs, education, and recreation, right? Just visiting their family, which is such a quality of life thing. And so this millage would allow us to continue those offerings. And we are able to use our local dollars to capitalize on state and federal funds and very much multiply that local dollar to get as much service as we possibly can.
Well, I know how important that is to have the busing transportation going to Hemlock Semiconductor as well as to Pigeon. There's a number of people now they have a meetup place where they drive to locally, and then the buses take them out to their jobs over there.
Yep. So Pigeon meets just downtown at our plaza at 615 Johnson. And then the Hemlock Semiconductor route picks up at the Ricker Center in Buena Vista, at our downtown plaza again, and out at the State Street Walmart.
Oh,
so
wow.
There's a couple different spots. It's just expensive to own cars right now. Not
The
only
gas can you imagine working there in the gas?
It's crazy. And it's also nice just to get on a bus and turn your brain off and play on your phone or take a nap, be able to use that time for something else. And so it's also just, it's a way to get that car that maybe isn't reliable, to also be able to leave that car in your driveway and, take some other means of transportation so that when you need it for something locally, that it's available. It's, it's a reliability thing too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know I see the press releases. You're doing a great job with that. I get them.
Oh, thank you.
I try to put them up on Facebook. I'll sit there and copy the actual text, and then I'll put a picture of something with the buses or, just to kind of have an attraction to the actual text and the verbiage. But what else is coming up for Saginaw Transit in the future?
Yeah, so you've probably heard a little bit about our plans to hopefully expand to Potter Street Station area.
Yeah.
Really exciting. So for those that aren't familiar, Potter Street Station is a train station that's been closed for many decades now. It's a really exceptionally interesting and historically significant building. It is the last Victorian train station that exists. It's been maintained by a group of volunteers for probably 40 years now who have really gone above and beyond to try to keep the building viable for future development. And we are really hoping that we could be those future developers. We've done a feasibility study and checked out the building. It's actually in excellent shape. It's very solid. It was surprising for the folks that did that research for us. They were very pleasantly pleased with the condition of the building. So we were hoping to be able to use that space as a refurbished transit station and administrative offices, and then we would build a new maintenance plaza. Right now, when you drive by Stars, you probably see a lot of vehicles outside, which is not our intent. We'd really like to have those be parked inside. But we have doubled our budget and doubled our staff in the past 6 years. We're just outgrowing our current facility. And so Potter Street would give a chance for us to be able to take better care of our equipment, but also look at possible expansion. We are looking at a potential countywide millage in a couple of years, which would allow us to match our neighbors in Midland and Bay and Genesee to offer a lot more service. Just like you said, bus routes don't fit for everything, but there's a lot of other models that would be great for us to be able to expand to. Lyft, which is a curb-to-curb service. We have something called Rides to Wellness, which is a door-to-door service, our highest level. And we could offer that across the whole county so that, daughter wouldn't need to take a half day off work to take mom to the doctor, things like that. And we really have some excellent models regionally that we can build on. And so us moving into Potter Street would really be a chance for us to be able to expand and realize those dreams while listening to the folks in that Out County area really carefully to make sure that we're tailoring our services to what they're interested in.
Well, Potter Street is such a historic piece of Saginaw history. I know my great-grandfather, Sonovio Diaz, he would get on that train to go to see his mother in Kansas City, Kansas, way back in the 40s, and mom would tell me those stories. But if the Michigan Central Station could come back to life the way it has in Detroit, why not the Potter Street Station? And that would be so awesome. And I've gone to Chicago on the trains, and I've stopped at the train station in Kalamazoo. Are you familiar with that? Yeah, that's a beautiful station. I thought, why can't we have something like that? And the Potter Street Station is already there. If that could be really come back to life, that would be really awesome for the city of Saginaw. And I never would have thought that was possible, say 20 years ago. But I think that, the way that it is kind of been taken in by that group. What's the group called? The Potter Street Station?
The Potter Street Preservation Corporation.
Yes. And man, we really need to get behind that, because I think that would really be a shame if we lost that building. But I think that with the Stars getting behind that, it's you guys are kind of like the Ford company with the Michigan Central Station.
I hope that would be awesome.
Yeah.
It's really neat because, like you said, this is a really complicated neighborhood. This is a neighborhood that has suffered greatly from racist and classist policies that have slowly debilitated that neighborhood and really hurt people's families and their ability to build generational wealth. That's me putting on my community organizer hat, which was my previous job. So I think it's really important for us to hold that so carefully, that this is really, this is much more than just one building, right? This is about a long history of negative change that's taken place in that neighborhood. And yet the buildings that are, the homes that are still there are really well kept. People feel a great tie to that community. And as much as there's not as many homes there anymore, that's the perfect place for us. It's one of the few places in the city that's large enough to be able to house the kind of building that we need. also happens to have this amazing historic building that's worthy of focus as well. But because of that neighborhood, the dynamics of that neighborhood, and the dynamics of this cool building, it actually opens us up for a lot more funding opportunities that we wouldn't have if we were building a brand new building.
Yeah.
Out in a less populated area. So it's really like just the stars are kind of aligning. I think that we have a lot to do. I mean, obviously there's a whole lot that needs to happen to be able to make sure that we can actually move forward. And it's going to feel like it's not moving very quickly because we have a lot of federal regulations that we have to follow because we're federally funded. So it's going to feel slow, but I promise that we are working on it. We're trying to make it happen. The next step is some environmental studies that are, once again, not going to feel very satisfying, but we are really dedicated to this project and hoping that the future is bright for that neighborhood and for our ability to add to the fabric of that place.
And that's why I brought up about my grandfather, because of the historical
Oh, it's
significance. But I've always heard stories too from my elders, from especially my mother, in regards to the Potter Street neighborhood, the First Ward neighborhood that's right around there. There used to be a Mexican theater down there for Mexican movies that was
Cool.
shown on Potter Street. So there really is some historical significance for our Latino community, but also the greater community, because that's where everybody kind of came in. That was traveling in and out of the city of Saginaw at one point via train. It was a beautiful train station. And what year was it built?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Long time.
Yeah,
I'm afraid I don't know off the top of my head. It's pretty.
Let's say a long time.
A long time. Yeah. I mean, we heard from lots of families during the feasibility process that had, just as you've described, seen their loved ones off to war.
Exactly.
And I mean, just a really very historically significant place, not just for how special the structure is, but for all of the many important things that took place there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I believe there was even a presidential candidate that came in at one point.
Oh, I heard that too.
Yeah.
The dream would be to be able to bring train service back there again. I think that's a much larger, complicated goal, because train tracks are wicked expensive, and it takes a lot to make sure that the tracks are high enough quality for humans to ride on them. But I mean, long term, that would be the dream, right? To be able to drive to the Potter Street station, drop your car off, and ride to Flint, right onto Chicago. That would really be the dream. Would be pretty amazing.
Because I don't like that I have to drive to Flint in order to catch the train to Chicago.
It would be nice.
I would
right?
rather be in Saginaw. Yeah. And I've got one, Marianne, she's saying on here, it was built in 1881.
Thank you, Marianne. I appreciate
Thank you so much for that comment. And she's all the way out there, I think, in New Mexico or Arizona. And she's on here tonight, and she's giving us a little feedback, and she's being our what am I trying to say? Encyclopedia, if you will. There you are. And so she's a native of Saginaw, though, but she's living out of state now. But she's always got ties to her awesome Saginaw, right, Marianne? So she's in Texas. She's saying she's in Texas. I thought you were like in Arizona, because I saw some of the pictures of your backyard. But anyways, so Jamie, tell me a little bit about the staff of STARS, so that we know a little bit about that, because Glenn was supposed to be on my show. He wasn't able to, and then I wasn't able to be here when he actually came, because I was in Detroit for my friend Nora Chapa Mendoza, who received a very prestigious award, and the communication got mixed up. And so my apologies to Glenn. Please make sure he knows that.
Oh, I'm just glad that we're on tonight. No worries.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your staff there over at STARS.
Yeah. So we are led by Glenn Steffens. He's been at STARS now for about 7 years. He was a Senate fiscal analyst in Lansing before this, which means he is a wonky numbers guy, and is really ambitious and pushing us to try for new goals. You see the new buses that we've got on the road. That is straight up Glenn's encouragement to pursue those funding opportunities, which without the appropriation from Congressman Kildee, we would have never been able to have. We have about 130 staff members right now. We have everything from janitors to Lyft drivers to mainline drivers to us administrators. A lot of them are in the city of Saginaw too. So we have deep ties and are always growing. And so if anyone's looking for a job, we're always hiring.
Oh, nice. Well, it's so important, that a city, like I said, has transportation the way we have in Saginaw now. And that was wonderful that Congressman Kildee was able to secure those fundings for the new buses. It's really nice to see those buses out and about because it was getting to be a pretty older lot of buses.
Yeah.
And that happened in 2022?
So we were able to get first batch of 9 and then a second batch of 8. They are about $600,000 a piece. And so,
wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Major kudos to Congressman Kildee.
Yes. Well, we'll be right back. We're going to talk more with Jamie Forbes from STARS, and we're going to talk more here about what she's involved with the Great Murals Project when we come back. Thank you, everybody. We're here in the live stream on Facebook and the different channels from WSGW to the Mi Gente on Air page, as well as Mi Gente magazine, as well as the La Unión Cívica Mexicana page, my personal page. I got a lot of pages, Jamie, but it's so important this day and age to be able to promote these things, and you have to be pretty knowledgeable about the Facebook and the Instagram and the Snapchat and all of those. It's mind-boggling to me, actually, but so many people do it so well, and I know that you do a great job with it.
Oh, we try. Thank you.
I want to say I have said about Jamie that I think she's one of Saginaw's greatest cheerleaders, because I remember when the Ojibwe Island was going through a rough time, and I rode through there, and I remember seeing Jamie going around picking up trash, and it was on a Sunday. There was just a lot going on. I go, look at this girl. She's out here, trying to beautify Ojibwe Island. And so that was really awesome. And that was 4 years ago, maybe. So, yeah. I mean, it's been a long time, but, congratulations to all that you do, because I think that you are seeing the fruits of your labor.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so lucky to live in this community, though, where projects are encouraged. I'm thankful for that. And you're a Reese Rocket, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had my goddaughter who graduated from there. I can't even remember what year, but I think it's been a good 10 years now. I'm older than her, but it's a great community too, Reese. I got a lot of family over there, the Stricker family. Oh, yeah. So let's go back into the room, talk more with Jamie Forbes, and we'll hear about the Great Mural Project.
You're listening to Mi Gente on Air on WSGW.
Welcome back to Mi Gente on Air. I am so honored to be here tonight and to be able to talk with everybody and have my seat at the table and have a voice for our community, for the Latino community. But the Latino community is not the only community here, and so I always say for the greater community. And we're talking with Jamie Forbes, who is from STARS and the busing system that we have here in the city of Saginaw. But we're going to move on to something else, and that is her involvement with the Great Mural Project. Now, how many of you out there in the listening world know what the Great Mural Project is? Because it's one of the most exciting things that has happened to our community in the last 5 years. And I don't even know if it's that old, but it seems like it's been 5 years where there's always something new coming down the pipeline. And Jamie Forbes is part of the people that have put this together. And I want her to tell the story a little bit about the Great Mural Project, what it is, and the people involved and where it's going. Thank you so much for your kind words. That's so kind of you. So the Great Mural Project started meeting in 2017, and we started our first mural in 2018. Our goal is to raise money and organize public art in Saginaw to beautify underutilized places. We are not artists. We're a volunteer group. Consists of me, Cassie Zimmerman, who works for the city of Saginaw, and
and a few other folks that have come through over the years, including Dawn Goodrow, who owned Dawn of a New Day coffee shop. This year, Kendra Kemp from the Community Foundation helped us out. And we've had a few other folks over the years, Amy Pitts. And so we are just volunteers. We're not artists. And we just really believe that public art draws the attention and ownership in our neighborhoods. And so we've raised over $120,000 for 42 murals in Saginaw. We've hired 73 artists over the years to do those murals. And it has been the most joyful, affirming experience of all of my little projects and involvements in the community over the years. It has just been a really affirming thing where people, we ask a lot of favors. We ask for donations. We asked for people to help us out with equipment and with discounts and things. And we are just so affirmed all the time that people say yes to our crazy ideas. And this year is just more of the same. And I'm so thankful to be involved and to be a part of a community where we're certainly not the first ones that are doing this. There's been so much art in Saginaw for decades. And we have been lucky to play a small part in that and support the work that others are doing as well. There's so much to be a cheerleader of, right? The Showdown, there's all these historic murals in Old Town. The Shine Bright mural that just happened along the riverfront. There's so much positive.
The thing is that when you took on the Great Mural Project, I don't think that you thought that there would be such a huge project like the Silos, Shine Bright Saginaw. And you and I were just talking about this kind of before the show started, how that has become like an attraction, a sightseeing place for the city of Saginaw. And I've said it on my show before, where I've had friends that have come in from outside of Saginaw, Pontiac, Detroit, and they want to see the mural project, and it's such a important piece now. And the economic development, I'm sure, that has come as a result of people coming into town has to have increased. And that's what I was talking about at the top of the show, was the idea that, the Saginaw Memorial Cup and the Silos, the Shine Bright Saginaw, is that the name of it? Yeah, I got it right.
Yeah.
And then all what's happening with the utility boxes with the Great Mural Project, if you've seen that from last year. So please tell us about some of the actual murals that have taken place in the last 2-3 years, because it's just been like a boom, I think, and it looks great.
Oh, thank you. So the utility boxes have been super fun. We've done 30 of those last year and the previous year. We really look at it as a chance and we have so many talented artists in this community, but taking on a larger project can be intimidating. And so a utility box is just like the perfect bite-sized project for someone who's maybe only done canvases that wants to up their game and build their portfolio to be able to take on larger projects. So we've had some really experienced artists do utility boxes, but mostly they've been less experienced artists. And you can see them. It allows us to stretch our art a little bit further, right? The idea that you don't have to have money or time to experience a utility box. That's beautiful. And so it's been really cool to have more art in the neighborhoods, and that's what we see utility boxes for. And we're hoping to be able to do more of those in the future. Last year, we did 2 large murals on either side of the parking lot at the downtown Delta campus. So there's the Commerce Center and the Behringer building. The Behringer is owned by the city, and then the owner of the Commerce Center also supported our work. We did 2 really large murals. Our first really that required lifts, which is pretty cool. We were able to do a mural honoring Jim Leatherer, who is a Saginaw native civil rights advocate who actually marched with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at the March on Selma. Really amazing story. He's an amputee, and he walked for 54 miles on crutches for that event. A really amazing story that I think a lot of people in this community were not familiar with. And so someone actually, a Saginaw native who lives outside of Saginaw, brought this idea to us and wasn't able to kind of get the traction, but we kept the idea in the back of our heads because it was such a good idea. And so we were able to honor him with this mural, and it's really, it's an amazing image. And then On the other side, so that symbolized Saginaw's past. We wanted to symbolize Saginaw presently, and so we were able to hire John Vasquez, Kayla Peak Trotner, and Devon Collins, 3 incredibly talented artists from the city of Saginaw, and they painted a mural that's honoring the matriarchs of our community, which I think we can really. I mean, I'm sure that there were. That just me saying that we can think of so many people in our own personal histories that have influenced us that are matriarchs in our community. And so this mural to honor Saginaw presently, it just seemed like the right fit. So those are our 2 biggest murals so far. We were able to collaborate with the Showdown and Pit and Balcony to make those happen last year. And we're hoping to only do more. We have so many ideas. It's just a matter of making it all happen and getting all the pieces in place. And so it's been a really fun project, and there's a lot more to do.
Well, the civil rights mural, that was just incredible. Jim Leffler, how do you say it?
Leatherer,
just like yes. And his family came down and they were able to, see this come to fruition. And like Jamie said, I for one was somebody who didn't know about the history of that and how important that is. This man, like she said, marched with Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King, and he is well known down in the South, has statues that are up of him because of, his involvement with the civil rights and being an amputee like that, and to march with only one leg. I mean, that was really, that's really something mind-boggling to me. But the history of that and the importance, I don't think Saginaw was celebrating that enough. And I think that with this mural, you can see it right from the highway. You can see it during the Memorial Cup. I mean, it was really awesome. So thank you for that. And Devon Collins and John Vasquez, who helped as well on the silos.
Yes.
And the other artist was
Kayla Peak Trotner, who's done tons of work too.
Yeah, and that's just awesome that we have those artists in our community and they're contributing. And I just see the art getting better and better.
Yeah. One of the aspects that we didn't count on. So Kevin Burdick did the Jim Leatherer mural.
Yes.
Kevin Burdick is from Fenton. He also did that beautiful mural on the health department building on Michigan. And something that we didn't really count on that's really played out is that there's been a lot of mentorship and development and relationship building that's come from these projects.
Collaboration.
Like that makes a huge difference for people's artistic careers. Like, I mean, we could look at John Vasquez, who has really grown leaps and bounds. I mean, he's been doing art for a long time, but to be able to work with Kevin Burdick to get certified to do lifts, to then be a part of the Shine Bright mural, Devon Collins as well. Now we have these folks that are traveling outside of our state to do art, and that's a part that we hadn't really counted on. And to play a small part in that, right? They've worked hard, they've earned all those opportunities, but sometimes it's just a matter of making those connections, and the more space that we can give to be intentional about those relationships and that development, we think the better off the artistic community is as a whole.
Well, I have become friends with Zach Curtis. He's an artist out of Pontiac. He is phenomenal.
Yes.
He really is. I love his work, and I love the work that he did for the Showdown last year. Cool. If anybody's familiar with it, it's the face of the girl on the side of a face, and he uses a lot of blue and black hues, and just the way he did that, it was gorgeous. And then also Freddie Diaz coming into town from Detroit. He's a friend of mine as well. He's a Detroit artist. He's doing phenomenal work in Mexican Town, but he came and he did the mural for La Estrella's Bakery, and many of you are familiar with it. I'm sure if you're getting on the 675 corridor highway exit there, you can see it at the La Estrella Bakery right across from El Rancho Grande. So, Freddie did a great job. He did the pan dulce that's on the building, the conchas, as well as gave homage to the Jimenez family that is the owners of the Estrella Bakery. So it's wonderful to see that. And, I was really surprised at how fast you guys had actually moved. It may not seem that fast to you since 2017, but to us, or to me who's watching, I'm like, wow. I remember there was a time where there could be very little murals that were painted. And I think there was some discussions way back. I remember even downtown for a mural with the health delivery and all. And it was called health delivery then.
Mhm.
But you know, it's like now I think that they see the positivity of it and what it can bring to a community, and it sure has in Saginaw. It's just I hope there's a much more, and I know that Flint has really developed a
Mm,
lot of murals because of the water crisis that happened there. You had artists that came from all over to paint
everywhere.
in the Flint area. Detroit, if you go down to Detroit, you could do actually a tour
Mm,
with you know the different buildings and the different murals that are all over there. Freddie just painted a beautiful one recently with that had calavera faces and was really significant of what Mexican Town brings to the table for the city of Detroit. And so that was really beautiful as well. And Pontiac with Zach, he's got some murals that
mm.
he's just doing, but he actually travels around as well. I think there was one in Highland he just finished this week. So you know, it's wonderful to see that, and I hope that everybody will encourage these artists if you know them. Encourage Jamie and what she's
Oh,
doing
thank
with the
you.
Great Mural Project, because it's really important that we have that entity here within
Thank
our
you.
community. And what's next? Tell us about what's next for the Great
Yeah.
Mural Project.
So, just as Freddie Diaz's mural celebrates La Estrella, which is a very important small business that deserves to be celebrated. One of our projects for this year, we're hoping to be able to do is on Good Rose Flower Shop, which has
Oh yeah,
been they're on State Street there. They're fourth generation florists. Like they've been
wow.
in that location a long time. Beautiful small business, also worthy of celebration. So we're excited to do a mural there. We're also hoping to be able to do some asphalt murals under the downtown Saginaw Farmers Market pavilion at SVRC Marketplace. And then just behind the SVRC Marketplace, between that and the river, there's the Riverfront Gateway, which is a new path that's gotten some love in the past year or so from some ARPA funds, and it is much improved. And we're talking about doing some asphalt murals there as well. I'll tell you, this year has been a hard fundraising year, as you can imagine. There's so many exciting projects going on. We're certainly celebratory of those, but it has made it harder to raise money this year.
Yeah.
Um, but that's okay. This is a long game, right? And so we're patient and we'll keep our ideas in play, and we'll do murals this year incrementally based on how much we're able to raise. And I'm happy to announce that. So we had a fundraiser this past weekend. A couple days before that, we received confirmation that we'll get $3,500 from next year. And we've really been working this year to be able to close that gap, and I think we're a little closer now than we were before, so I'm excited. And if it doesn't happen this year, it'll happen another year, so we're patient in that. We're One more opportunity to support our work is through the Artisan Urban Bistro. So Lonnie and her team in Old Town Saginaw host Wednesday Grateful Pasta Nights, and we are the recipients of some of the proceeds for Grateful Pasta this coming Wednesday and the following Wednesday, so the 24th and the 31st. So if anyone wants to grab some pasta and part of that will go to support Grateful, the Great Mural Project, we'd certainly appreciate it. And then, we're always gathering more names for new artists. We know there are so many talented people in this community. So if you'd like to be on the email list for when we have opportunities, you can just message the Facebook page, The Great Mural Project, or there's also a form on our website, greatmuralproject.com. And we're also looking for volunteers and things like that. So if anyone is interested in being on our list when we have opportunities, we'd sure appreciate it. We do a lot of public paint, so we like for people who wouldn't call themselves an artist to be able to come out and participate in our murals too. We feel like it increases ownership, and also it's just like lovely to be creative, even if we're not good at it, right?
Right.
And so we sometimes have opportunities in that way as well. So we're looking at those as being the next thing. We were happy to be able to support the Shine Bright project, which is like much larger and more significant than we've ever been able to raise for, but that project was a great chance for us to support local artists in that work. There were 6 local artists that participated in that, and we lined up some meals for the artists, and we're supportive in whatever way we could, helping get the word out about that. And just like we talked about, Shine Bright is really symbolic of this whole movement that's going on, not just in Saginaw. I mean, Flint is a perfect example. Flint is incredibly filled with art, and they were so generous to support us and a lot of our our questions and concerns. They were able to help us out with, and now we've been able to in turn try to be helpful to other cities that are thinking of doing this. But there's this whole vibe that public art is a reason to visit a place, it's a reason to love a place, it is a reason to feel prideful of a place, and to be able to play a small part in that has been a real game changer. We see Midland has a great public art scene too. Bay City is really pushing it as well. This could be a reason that people want to visit us and support our local businesses and want to move here, because placemaking, people want to live in special places, and art makes a community feel more special. So there's really a chance, I think, for us to capitalize on this, and just make our community more beautiful, and so we feel better about it.
Well, I think that the Shine Bright one really revived downtown. I see it a little bit in a different light, just because, I like to be able to go walk from my house and just walk around in Old Town Saginaw. And I used to walk on the railroad tracks all the way down to the silos from my house. So I was familiar with that. And, once I got to the silos, I would always just look up and look at them and walk around. And like now, there's just so much more to see, and every time you look at that mural, you see something different. And if you stand on Niagara and you park your vehicle in front of the lips, you know what I'm talking about? If you get out of your vehicle and you look up at the lips, it is so, to me, that is like, it's so enormous.
It's so enormous.
Yeah, and it's just, you look up at there and you're just like, wow, this is really cool. And then you see like different things, like I see faces in there, and I just, all the color schemes that they use. I think they use so many colors. I think I was talking to John, and he said they use so many colors on the color palettes. But John did a wonderful job. I seen him out there. We had him on the show as well. And he's just a great artist, just like Devon Collins and Zach Curtis, all these young guys. And it's wonderful just to see that the community has kind of gotten behind it, because as I have been there, you'll have at least another 5 to 10 cars that are watching people watch as well, and people who are getting up closer and really looking at the silo mural. So it's just wonderful to see that. But I want to make sure the audience knows something that you said, because Wednesdays, the next 2 Wednesdays, part of the funding at the Artesian Bistro that's in Old Town is going to go towards the Great Mural Project. Now, if you like pasta, that's where you got to go on Wednesday. I'm going to definitely go, Jamie, and support that, because I do like pasta and I have not been there.
Oh, you have to go.
And
it's so
I
good.
do not know Lonnie, but you have said such great things about her that I look forward to meeting her. And I just think that we if anybody can help and get behind the Great Mural Project, it's really a positive for our community.
Thank you.
And so I'm a little bit of a cheerleader for that, because I just love seeing the art in our community. And how did you get so involved with this initially? And you talked about in 2017. What made you, Jamie Forbes, decide that, wow, we need to have art in our community?
I mean, I say yes to a lot of things I get excited about. I mean, there's just so much good stuff going on in here, and I feel like there's so much support for people working hard on their thing, right? And so I've had so many passions. I was a community organizer, so I worked on social justice issues, and I still care so much about that. I've worked on political campaigns. I've worked on, issues of homelessness and housing. I've worked on now public art. I think it's like, I care about so many things, and this one has just kind of like the stars have aligned. Pardon the pun, because I work at Stars, but like, it's just, there have been some of my most favorite times have been around this organization, and it's just, people are so generous and giving, and I think that we really live in a community where someone can have an idea and they can really make change happen, and I think that is so refreshing. That this is, we look like a big city in a lot of ways, but we're not all that big of a city, and so one person can make change happen. And so to be able to have been this project, we've, like I said, asked so many favors. We've asked people to step up and help us out. And it has just kind of lined up. And I don't think that that's because of those of us that are involved. I think it's really that people want to feel prideful about their community, and that public art helps them feel more prideful, that this is really just about changing, showing showing what we want to be as a community to the world. And like, to me, the Shine Bright thing, this has changed who we are.
I think so.
When people search Saginaw, when people think of Saginaw, they're going to think of this vibrant, amazing place that has this vibrant, amazing art.
Mhm.
And I think that we can tell our own story, and that public art is one of those ways. And I mean, we look at what art has done for other communities. This could be what people come here for, and that we could have a community of artists that are paid fairly, that can have careers in art. What a beautiful, amazing thing to allow our neighbors space to be able to live their passions. And I think that that's really, that should be the goal for all of us, right? To be able to do what we're really
Passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember being very proud that when I showed my friends that the Shine Bright mural, because after they seen it and witnessed it, they said, wow, thanks for bringing us here. It wasn't on the agenda, but I knew it was, right? And like, I just genuinely felt proud. I was like, just, wow, this is so cool. And I said, this is really an attraction to the city of Saginaw.
Yeah.
It's going to really help in economic development as well. We got 1.5 minutes left on the show, and I want to talk about the showdown, because that's coming up September 14th, right?
Such a good event.
With John Vasquez and his wife. They're putting that
Natalie.
together, Natalie.
They're amazing.
Yes, and I participated in it last year, and it was a wonderful, wonderful event. And tell us a little bit about what you know about it.
So I heard that they have a site picked out. I'm not sure if I can tell, so I won't. But I will tell you that the showdown is an invitational, right? They invite artists both locally and from around the region to come and paint a section of wall all day. There's just so much positive vibes. They've got tons of awesome vendors, lots of artists that are selling their stuff, food trucks. It's just so fun. So you got to come down for the showdown and check it out. It's totally free and just like a really positive, lovely event. Now it's the 4th year, I believe, and just growing every year. So lots of good stuff going on. So that's the next one you got to come to.
Yeah, and I'll definitely be there. I had such a blast there last year, and it was on, I think it was on, what street was that? Niagara?
Yep, Niagara.
Yeah, it was on Niagara. And I know that they were toiling around with where it was going to be, and I'm going to try to get that information out of Jamie before she leaves the studio. But thank you, Jamie Forbes, for being with us here tonight and giving us a positive show on what Saginaw is and the positivity that's happening in our community. So
thank you so
congratulations
much
to all that you're doing and being the Saginaw cheerleader that you are. And I just thank everybody for being with us here on the show tonight. And we'll see you next week here on Mi Gente on Air. Hasta luego. Thank you for being with us again here on Mi Gente on Air. Again, thanks to Jamie Forbes. She was just a plethora of information here, as she always is, and it's just wonderful to see. And I see her father. He always comes and buys patitos from me, and I haven't seen him in a while because we haven't been at the Civica, but we're in the season of the food truck season, and so like we're moving around. And today we're at the Family Dollar. We're going to be in Bridgeport. We're going to be over at the Saginaw County Courthouse. Can you believe that? That's awesome, right? That's this Thursday, if anybody wants to go. But we have to team up and collaborate, Jamie, in regards to trying to raise money, as well for the Great Mural Project, because I just think it's phenomenal. I just love what you guys are doing, and I think it's a real plus for our community. So I ask my producer, Matthew Lester, here. What do you think of all this, Matt?
Hello.
Nope, I don't hear you.
I know we were having problems with this microphone earlier.
Oh.
It happens.
It happens.
Well, I was really thankful for you to support our mural reveals last year. You came and sold petitos, and they were amazing. And of course, the food truck was also at our event on Sunday, which was awesome. And my parents got some then, of course. And
did you get to see the coverage that we did on the Jim Leather
Yes, it was
mural.
awesome.
Did you see that in Mi Gente? Are
Yes,
you just
thank you.
saying that, or
No,
you
I
really
no,
did?
I saw it. I swear.
Because you know what? There are some stories that I'll put in Mi Gente magazine, and they just make you feel so good.
Oh yeah, that's
And
such
that
a.
one just made me feel so
I so
good.
appreciate the coverage.
Yeah, so that I'd love to include the art and all, and I just think it's wonderful. We even did a story on the Jimenez family, and when Freddie Diaz came and did the mural at their store.
I'd love to get him to come back to our community. That'd be amazing.
Let's get Freddie back. I
Yeah.
even have another artist friend in Detroit. Maybe we could even
Ooh.
get
Gotta
involved.
pass the info.
Yeah. So thank everybody for being in the room again. It's always a pleasure. It's nice to be able to incorporate our Latino community with the greater community. I know the show's for Latino concerns, culture, and contributions, and we talked about that with Freddie being part of the Great Mural Project, as well as John Vasquez. So let's keep going. Let's move forward. Adelante. And again, thank you to Jamie Forbes for being with us tonight, and we will see you next week here on Mi Gente On Air.